Welcome in to the Inquirer podcast, and for the first time of this basketball season, kind of unofficially, we're here in State Farm Center for a post-game podcast, and for the first time, Kyle Tausk is joining me, Jeremy Werner, Inquirer publisher, to react to Illinois basketball, defeating Illinois State 92-65, our only public exhibition for Illinois basketball this year. Welcome in. We're going to break down the hits and misses. Not a lot of misses in this one, but a really good look, Kyle, at a lot of newcomers since Tomislav Ivisic was out after his tonsillectomy just about 10 days ago, but he was here in the building. Mihailo Petrovic didn't play today due to a hamstring issue. He's had some injuries since he got here on campus, including an ankle, now a hamstring. And then Andrei Stojakovic did not play due to that knee sprain, though he went through a pretty good workout beforehand that I was watching. He looked pretty healthy to me. So I think we're on the up and up with him moving forward. But Kyle, we got a good look at David Mirkovic, 19 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists, filled up the stat sheet. Zvonimir Ivisic with 15 points tonight, 3 of 10 from 3. He was kind of ruining some of his shot making ability. But also Brandon Lee, strong second half, especially to close, 17 points. Keaton Wagler with 9 points in his debut as a starter for Illinois, and Humberkaus and Boswell. We'll dive into all those guys, Kyle. But welcome to a post-game reaction podcast, Kyle.
Appreciate it. I'm happy to be here. Loved listening to you and Derek do these all those years, and here's my debut. So first time live on a podcast too. So I got to be careful, I guess.
Yeah, we saw Piper in the building, took a picture of you in his seat, and now you're sitting in the seat that he's always in. You didn't even know it.
I did not try to do that. I promise. Pipes, I did not try to sit in your exact spot. I just picked a random one. I guess we're on the same wavelength.
We'll break down the hits and misses here, Kyle. But just what was your initial impression of what you got to see today?
Yeah, it was just a good opportunity to see as many guys as you could in a live game setting. And Brad talked about that going in, just how much you can learn from seeing a different opponent and seeing a real game, and it's a game speed and the physicality of a real game. And I think that was really good for some of these newcomers, especially the freshmen. And then obviously David Mirkovic was the star of the show, and to see both him and Big Z make their unofficial Illinois debuts and obviously get a lot of run, a lot of freedom in what they were able to do, I thought was really cool to see, and just to see a basketball game and just to learn a little bit about some of these guys. And obviously some of the bigger takeaways are going to have to be saved. They would have had to be saved regardless, given it's an exhibition game against Illinois State, who was shorthanded. But obviously you're missing really important pieces in Tommy and Stojakovic and Mihailo, and obviously Ty's out longer term. So you can't take a ton from this game, but just that first experience and the introductions that we did get to some of these newer guys were mostly positive, and I think that's a really good thing to see.
Yeah, I think you're right saying we got to take all of this with a grain of salt. Illinois State was shorthanded. They did not have their best player, Chase Walker. I would have loved to have seen David Mirkovic go up against him. Would have been more of a real four that he was going up against. He had mismatch written all over him against this Illinois State team. But, and obviously the front court for Illinois was going to play well today. But Johnny Kinzinger, also a really good player for them, one of their leading scorers last year on a team that won the CBI, was projected to win the Missouri Valley. They weren't in this game either. But, of course, Illinois was shorthanded. But it was a great opportunity to get extended run at some of these newcomers. So, Kyle, I'll let you lead off with the hits from today. And I think I know where you're going to lead off here.
Yeah, where else to lead off? But David Mirkovic, which I've gotten it right twice now so far. So improvement from the last pod. I'm going to have to learn Keaton Wagler too, by the way. That one's going to take me a little bit, I think. But Mirkovic was he would put on a show. He was so comfortable. And just to see really, I wrote about in what I was looking to see in this game, just how much involvement he was going to have offensively, how much Illinois was going to elect to without Tommy out there, without Andre out there, without Halo out there. How much do you give David Mirkovic freedom with the ball in his hands to make plays and play through him a little bit? The answer was a ton. I mean, it turned in at a point in the second half there. It was totally the David Mirkovic show. He was directing traffic offensively, grabbing the ball off the backboard, pushing it up the floor, making plays, found Kylan Boswell for a couple open threes. Just really confident debut from him, and a guy who looks really comfortable in that setting and with the ball, making plays with the ball in his hands. And that's something that he flashed a lot. And I was excited to see what that looked like. I wasn't sure how much we'd see it just because Illinois has so many other options that they can run through offensively. But this was a great opportunity for him with all the guys they were missing to really showcase that and to get a lot of reps doing that. And man, did he put on a show. Some of the passes he threw, some of the finds he had, and the comfort that he had handling the basketball, bringing it up the floor, pushing off of rebounds. Obviously, you got to see his rebounding ability and his toughness, 14 rebounds for him. Just a heck of a debut and somebody that Illini fans should be really excited about. I've said before, I think it's not going to be long before he is pushing for that starting lineup, and this was certainly a great first impression for him.
Yeah, and it's taken away nothing from Ben Rickhouse. Like having both those guys in your four rotation is a really good thing. I thought Ben today, 9 points on just 7 shots, 7 rebounds, 2 blocks. I thought that was a veteran performance. I looked at you and I said, you get that from Ben in a Big Ten game. You're feeling great about what you have at the 4. But yeah, the skill set Mirkovich has is so exciting. Not only for this year, but potentially next year where I think he could be a star. Like I think there's going to be ups and downs. I don't think it's going to be as easy as it was today against an Illinois State team that was overmatched on the interior, especially with Chase Walker out. And I think like Dane Danger, that Mirkovich is going to dominate some mid-majors, but how that translates going up against bigger, stronger, longer, and more athletic competition won't be quite as easy. I think there's going to be some downs. I think he's going to foul a little bit. Maybe he turns it over a little bit more. But, man, we knew he could rebound. And 14 rebounds is not like the most shocking thing to me when he played 30 minutes tonight against Illinois State. It's the ability to grab that rebound, Kyle, and push it in transition. And I asked Brad Underwood about what that does for you, and he said, pace. We want to push the ball. And he's so comfortable handling it, going down the court, setting up teammates. He had 1 turnover tonight in 30 minutes in one of the highest usage roles on this team. 6 assists. He finds people, and you think about how many shooters they have with Big Z, with Tommy, with Ben Rickhouse, when everybody's healthy on this team, and you have Mirkovich who can kind of be a point forward, point center for you to just kind of spray it around. And Ryan Peden said it, that he's got some Jokic in him. And it's true. There's just some of that skill, that ability to feel, the ability to see, the ability to pass it and spray it around. That's a really exciting piece, and a guy you can run offense through at times. So we got to see how it translates. I'm wondering what it'll be like against, Texas Tech. We won't see what it'll look like against Florida, but that's just an exciting skill set. That's going to be a high impact player. I'm with you, potential starter at some point, and maybe early, maybe later. I don't know, but he's going to be a 20 to 25 minute game guy, I think, with Ben Rickhouse being that caliber of player too. But man, that playmaking with so much shooting around him, and that's a guy who's going to have the ball in his hands a lot. And we can't overlook the rebounding, right? Because when you lose Merez Johnson, you need a guy like that. So just an exciting skill set year 1. But then I think about what he could be year 2, Kyle, with Keaton Wagler, with potentially Andrei Stojakovic and Mihailo Petrovic. Like that's a potential star piece in a year 2.
Yeah, this is still a 19-year-old freshman who actually has 4 years of eligibility left. Now, will he use all of those? We'll see. But this is a young guy who's obviously has so much experience playing in the Adriatic League and the physical part of the game, as opposed to your other freshmen, particularly a guy like Wagler. That's nothing to him because he's a guy that, man, is he strong, and he's not afraid to get in there and mix it up. And as you've talked about, he's got an edge to him. He's got personality to him on the floor. I thought it was great to just see how much emotion he played with, and just he's fiery. And you need a guy like that, and that's going to go out there and wear his emotion on his sleeve and mix it up. And yeah, the rebounding, I think, is the true key number to me in this game, the 14 rebounds, because I think, the skill set and the passing and the playmaking, all that stuff is great, and it's adds a different element to your offense. I do wonder how much you're going to see that from a game-to-game basis against higher level competition, when you have your full complement of guys, when you have Petrovic out there, Tommy out there, who you know you're going to play through a lot. He's probably going to be the guy. We saw Mirkovich a little bit play that Tommy role, you know, where he caught the ball at the top of the key and was directing traffic and was making plays out of that. That's probably not going to be something he does a ton when you're at full strength, but it's there. It's a button that you can press offensively. But what you really need from him on a night-to-night basis is the rebounding, is the toughness, is the physicality defensively. We saw all that. 0 fouls is a great number in this game. Like
most
you said,
shocking number,
great.
Maybe.
Most shocking number, but a great number to see. You know, that's something that might not last against better competition as well. And you're right. I was disappointed to not see Chase Walker out there for Illinois State, because I thought that would have been a great challenge for a guy like him. But nonetheless, just a heck of a debut, and somebody that really excites you about some of the different things you can do with him throughout the year.
I think we can already call David Mirkovic a fan favorite, just based on
you know,
his personality and then just that debut. That's a lot of fun. All right, my second hit here. The defensive wrinkles, the defensive intensity, I thought was awesome in the first half, forcing a bunch of turnovers by Illinois State. The length for Illinois really bothered them. And, man, it's exciting when you can roll out a lineup, Kyle, that's 6'6 plus at 4 out of 5 positions. And your other guy that's not 6'6 plus is, you know, Kyle Boswell, one of the best on-ball defenders in the country. But we did see a little bit more wrinkles than I thought. Like they unveiled some things that I thought they might keep under wraps until, you know, Texas Tech comes into town. But on sidelines out of bounds plays, they ran zone. There was a couple of possessions on sideline out of bounds plays only that they ran zone. And that's like Brad Underwood being, like, I wrote it today in my Cam Crocker story. You can call him anything, but not stubborn. But that I didn't know if it would ever happen if Brad Underwood ran zone for a couple of possessions. But he wants to steal a couple possessions a game to get some turnovers, to get some easy buckets. And they got to stop on that zone, forced a turnover. They had a full court trap where they forced a turnover. It led to a Zvonimir Ivisic dunk. And there were just a couple little things like that, a couple blitzes. It wasn't a big schematic change that I saw, Kyle, but there was just, at times, there were change-ups. And that's what I thought they needed last year. They didn't have enough of. And credit to Zach Hamer. I talked to him for my Cam Crocker story, and he admitted he was the defense coordinator the last 2 years. And he said, we got stale, and we needed some new perspective. They've done a deep dive. They've added some things with Cam Crocker of what they need to add to steal some of those possessions, to get more in transition, because Brad wants to get a little bit more aggressive. It's who he is. He doesn't want to be out of control aggressive like he was his first 2 years here with that kind of press defense, with the, you know, ball denial and all of that. But at certain times of the game, I think you're going to see more of that. And he said, we're working on 3 or 4 things we haven't unveiled yet. So haven't unveiled everything, but I'm glad we got to see at least a little bit of that, Kyle, to know it is going to be different on defense.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I was wondering if we'd see zone in the repertoire this year. It sounded like we might, and found it funny too. Brad was first asked about it, I think, at his post-game radio interview, and he paused for a long time. You could tell he was like, well, yeah.
It burns him to run zone.
I still don't think it's something that he's going to want to throw out there for more than a possession here, possession there. But I think that is a worthy changeup to have. It fits this roster too, with all the length and the size you have, and you maybe don't have as many good in-space defenders, especially in your front court. It's a good wrinkle to throw in there. It utilizes your roster well, and I think it's just a way to throw teams off a little bit. You saw that with Illinois State. Very first possession of the game, Illinois came out in the zone, forced a shot clock violation. Illinois State had no clue what to do. And it's just that you can steal stops that way, and you can just make teams a little bit more uncomfortable, as we've talked about. Illinois has not done that at all in the past, and I thought the full court trap possession was really well executed by Illinois, led to a steal by Mirkovich. He threw it ahead to Big Z. You got a technical for pulling up on the rim on a jam there, but I thought it was interesting to see. Obviously, we knew we weren't going to see anything drastic, anything too exotic, anything that they didn't want to put on film for their regular season opponents that they might have in their back pocket. But I thought we saw some of the things that we thought we might see, or just some of the subtle changes that I think this team is going to need. And I think you'll see even more and more of those things once you have your full complement of guys. I think Andre's a guy that you can do some different things with. If you do like to trap a little bit more, I think he's a guy that you're going to want to be a part of that with his length as well. But we'll continue to see those things. But it was refreshing to see that, and we finally got a taste of some different things that they're going to do defensively. And I think this roster, I mean, they forced 13 turnovers today. Part of that, I think, is just because Illinois State had so many younger guys out there. They missing their only kind of point guard. It's a tough spot for them to be in. But I think you could start to see that this roster, I think, can make teams a little more uncomfortable. And I think that the turnover rate probably isn't going to be 360th on defense this year in the country. I think that can take a step up this year a little bit.
Yeah. All right, Kyle, I'll hand to you for another hit here in a moment. But first, I want to give a new sponsor alert, and we are really proud to add Game Day Spirit as a new sponsor of the show. Most Illini fans should be very familiar with Game Day Spirit. It's the official fan store of the Fighting Illini, selling the best Illini gear in town or online. And that's the great part about why I love this partnership is obviously we have so many people in Central Illinois that can get to Game Day Spirit right here on Kirby and Neal Street. But for all you out-of-towners that are listening to Chicago, across the world, across the country, you go to GameDaySpirit.com, and they have the best collection of Illini gear. And they're kicking off this partnership by offering an exclusive discount for Illini Inquirer listeners. Get 15% off your next purchase with them online at GameDaySpirit.com when you use the code Illini15. That's Illini15 at checkout. You can shop their great selection of Fighting Illini merchandise to continue to cheer on the Fighting Illini football team this season, or get some new gear to support the Illini men's basketball team as they start their season. They have everything an Illini fan could want, from t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, official NIL jerseys as well of your favorite Illini athlete. Visit them in-store in Champaign at the corner of 6th and Green in Campustown, or Neal and Kirby in Champaign. And be sure to use the exclusive Illini Inquirer discount code for the next online purchase. Some exclusions may apply, but use that code Illini15 at checkout at GameDaySpirit.com. That's Game Day Spirit, where Illini fans shop. All right, Kyle, what's your next hit from the Illini's exhibition win?
I thought Kylan Boswell had a steady, solid game, which is what you want from him and was to be expected here. And you said it during the game. He wasn't all that aggressive, and I think that was intentional on his part. You could tell he was trying to get everybody involved and really kind of take more of a backseat offensively for part of the game. Still had 14 points, 5 of 9 from the floor, at a couple really strong takes to the rim, made 2 threes in the first half, 2 for 3 from 3, which is great to see. But I just thought he showed that leadership, that veteran presence. He was vocal. He was guiding some of the younger guards during the game. And I just, if you can get 14.6 assists, 2 turnovers from Kylan most nights with the way that he's going to guard, like that's exactly what you hope for. There's going to be nights where he's going to score a little bit more. There's going to be nights maybe where he doesn't, but the consistency of Kylan Boswell and just being that guy to lean on in the backcourt. And I thought he showed a lot of those things. And I thought he had a couple really nice finds too, passing wise. The first play of the game was a heck of a pass to Big Z for a dunk. And I just thought you saw what you wanted to see from a guy like Kylan, just a really steady, nothing flashy, but a really solid performance on both sides of the ball.
The biggest thing with Kylan in this game was the fact that, like, he could have gone for like 15 shots tonight. He had 9 shots, right? I thought that was huge for him to get everybody else involved. I thought he led. I just thought he was a real leader tonight. And I thought he set the tone vocally. I thought he was more vocal than he had been in the past, really focused in defensively. But he could have kept attacking the basket. He could have tried to get 25 points for Kylan Boswell tonight. I thought he tried to get Keaton Wagler the ball. I thought he tried to, play with, Mirkovich and Ivisic, and I thought he really just tried to get everyone else involved. And I would say that about Benham Rickhouse too. I don't think he was hunting for himself tonight either. I thought he was just trying to play within himself and get everybody else involved and just play a supporting role. Like, those guys didn't need to prove anything tonight. They didn't have to go and score 20 points to feel good about them. They kind of let this be a showcase and build the confidence of their other teammates. And just kind of getting back to your original point about the newcomers, this was a really big confidence builder for Mirkovich, for Big Z, for, Brandon Lee. Most of it was late. Most of it was, in garbage time, but 11 points in the final 6 minutes. Like, it kind of went through him late in the game, and he should feel a lot more confident after this one. And I thought Keaton Wagler was a little tentative in that first half. You could tell the physicality, maybe just a moment of playing in front of fans in this arena, as most freshmen do, Kyle. It got to him a little bit, but then they got him the ball, got him some open shots. Mirkovich found him, Kylan found him, and made a couple shots. I just thought he played with a little bit more confidence. But I thought that was great from Hummerkaus and Kylan just to kind of get those guys going. The other thing, I really was encouraged by Keaton Wagler's defense. I thought, he looked like, one, he cared a lot about it, but two, I just thought he was really, really dialed in. I thought he was really focused. I thought his contesting was really good. Got into gaps, used his length. He's an incredibly long guard at 6'6". So there are some physicality questions with him, both offensively and defensively. But his feel for the game, I know he didn't explode for 20 points in his debut and live up to all the hype, but one of the things they love about Keaton is that he just plays smart basketball. And I thought he did that tonight. I didn't think he forced a lot, and I thought he played really well-connected defense. So I don't think he's the guy that's going to have the Will Riley nights all that often, but I just think he's going to be a little bit more consistent than you see from freshmen because his IQ is really, really high. So I can't wait to see him against some more opponents here moving forward, but I just think he's a really intelligent player that's got length and skill, Kyle.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I agree with you in terms of, especially early on in the game, it felt like he had those first game nerves, and he just was a little timid and hesitant, and especially on a couple early drives, it felt like the physicality got to him a little bit, where he got pushed off his spot a little bit and took a little off-balance shot or whatever the case may be. I think those are the things that you expect from somebody like him. I've tried to be as careful as possible during the off season of balancing, hey, there's reason to be really excited about his skill set, what he can be, the feel, like you said, the IQ, all those things, the shooting. That to me stood out more than anything else in this game. Was a confident shooter, smooth. He's going to make a lot of threes this year. But in terms of the on-ball stuff, there's going to be ups and downs there. And especially when you see some really physical teams that have you well scouted, and there's going to be certain things with him that are going to take some time and some adjustment, and I think you'll see him get better and better and more comfortable as the season goes on. That's a guy that I think can really blossom come January, February, as you just start to learn the ins and outs of college basketball. You start to get adjusted physically. But I agree with you. I thought the length defensively stood out to me for sure. He's long, he's instinctual. I think there might not be as much of a learning curve there as you might have thought. Now the physical questions will be there, but he's smart, and he's rarely in the wrong place, and he's rarely making a bad decision. Even though he was a little tentative and timid at times, it's not like he was taking bad shots or throwing the ball away. There were some freshman mistakes in there, but there weren't mental errors that you would expect. It's a guy that's probably not going to make as many of those as your typical freshman. So I was impressed with that. He'll have better days, and there was definitely some nerves there, I think, for him, but I still think there's plenty of reason to be really excited about him.
I guess we should talk about Zvonimir Ivisic. Do you want to start with him? What do you think of his performance today? 15 points, 5 rebounds, 6 fouls, because they didn't have to foul out tonight. The exhibition rules, they said, don't worry about fouls, which was a good thing because Illinois fouled a lot here, but also 2 blocks for Big Z. What'd you think of his performance, Kyle?
Yeah, there were ups and downs for sure. I think that's kind of the Zvonimir Ivisic experience. You got a little bit of that. But he's confident, and he doesn't need much space to get that shot up. And he's going to get that thing up a lot, 10 threes tonight, and he'll fire them up there. I think you like that. There's times where I know Brad pulled him aside at one point and was like, move the ball a little bit, because it does tend to stick a little bit in his hands at times. But
he's not afraid to get him up, Kyle. He's not afraid to get up shots.
he's a confident player. He is very confident in who he is. And I think you love that about him. I think there's times it's going to drive you absolutely insane in some games. And you can ask Arkansas and Kentucky fans about that. It's going to happen. There's going to be some silly fouls for sure. That's going to happen. That's part of his game. The good news is he's not going to play 23 minutes a ton this year when Tommy's healthy. We'll see what that looks like in terms of playing those two guys together. That remains to be seen. But I think, he could shoot the heck out of the ball. I know he was only 3 for 10 tonight, missed some late, but he's a heck of a shooter. He's going to make a lot of threes. What he opens up, I think that's the biggest thing to me, is not having that drop off offensively when you don't have Tommy on the floor is going to be huge. It's going to maintain your identity offensively. He's a guy that can just open up the floor for everybody else. I think there's a chance he might be the best 3-point shooter on this team when it's all said and done, because I think he's that good. But there's definitely still some things with him that are going to drive you a little bit insane. You'd like to see him be a little bit better rebounder at times too. But I don't know. I think there was some good and bad, and the shot blocking, the length defensively, I think really stood out too. And Illinois State, again, it's not like they got great athletes, great downhill guys, but man, anytime an Illinois State driver was touching the paint, it was a problem when Z was out there.
Yeah, the rim protection is real. The 3-point shooting is real. The inconsistency is real. We know what Big Z is at this level, and the consistency is what he's going to get better at. But I agree with you. When Tommy's healthy, you're not going to need Z for 20 minutes a game, so the fouling hopefully isn't as impactful, but that's a heck of a backup center option. And what I do like about the potential of Mirkovich coming off the bench is he and Big Z complement each other really well. So if you take Tommy off the court, Mirkovich can do a lot of things Tommy does offensively, not quite as good of a shooter, but then Z can spread the floor like Mirkhouse does and give you great rim protection on the other end. So, man, that front court's really exciting. When you have both those Ivisic kids, Mirkovich and Mirkhouse, that's a really, really good, long, really skilled front court for Illinois. One last hit here. Brandon Lee, man, like we talked a little bit about him, but I just loved how he was attacking downhill. He didn't complicate things. I think he took 1-3 in the game, made it, which was great to see. But he got downhill, got to the free throw line 8 times, 5 of 5 from the field because most of it was right around the rim. And I thought he played some intense defense. So that's what he needs to do. And I don't know how much he's going to play when Petrovic is on the court. And obviously Boswell's going to be playing 30-plus minutes. Wagler's going to play a huge role on this team. But I do think you can go give energy, get downhill, play dogged defense for a couple minutes a game. I'm really excited about what he can be down the line. So keeping him long-term, I think, would be great. It's always hard for guys that maybe don't play a lot, but there's some exciting things he showed tonight. And Brad Underwood used that Andres Feliz comp, which I'm like, whoa, whenever he says it, but you can see it, Kyle. There's a skill set that's like, oh yeah, that is a top 100 guard. That is your 9th or 10th player.
Yeah, you definitely can see that. And I think the key for him is just going to be settling into what that role ultimately looks like. And we'll see what that is when Illinois is fully healthy. I'm sure there's going to probably be games where he doesn't play at all. But I think there's going to be times where you are going to need that, whether it's foul trouble or whether it's just a different type of player. I think the biggest thing that stood out to me was he's physically ready for this level, and that doesn't bother him at all. He was driving right through guys in the second half, was not afraid to finish through contact, 8 free throw attempts. That's a mindset and the type of guard that can give you a little bit of a different book in that backcourt for little spurts here. And with all the space that this offense is going to have, he can take advantage of that. Now you want him coming in when those minutes are there, when that opportunity is there, and you don't want him doing too much. You obviously have so many other guys that for him, you want him to simplify it as much as possible to just focusing on defense, taking those opportunities when they're there. But I agree with you. I think there's a lot to like about him long-term. I think this year we'll see what his role ultimately is, but I thought it's a great confidence booster for a guy like that. And I think you can see all the things that made him an appealing prospect. And I really liked how he didn't back down at all from physicality, and the free throw, getting to the free throw line and just ramming his head downhill is something I know Brad Underwood likes to see.
All right, before we wrap this up, we hit on some of our misses, very few of them in this game, and look ahead to the Florida exhibition. I do want to talk about one of our other great local sponsors. That's Columbia Street Roastery. I've talked to you guys about their Nitro blend, which I love. We get at the press box in Memorial Stadium. It's one of my favorite coffees. One of my favorite reasons for going up in that press box is that we got that on the tap there at the press box for Memorial Stadium at Illinois football games. But they have some of the best coffees in town, local company. Go support them if you're a coffee head like my wife and I. We love going to Columbia Street Roastery, Black Velvet, Columbia Street Blend, their Scandinavian blend, Tip of the Andes, phenomenal coffee flavors. And even if you're, the fall seasonal flavors like their pumpkin coffee, you can go check that out. Go to csrcoffee.com. And right now you can get free shipping on orders over $45, and you can get 10% off your first order with the code GOILLINI2025. That's GOILLINI2025 to get 10% off your first order at csrcoffee.com. Go check out our friends at Columbia Street Roastery. Go visit them in town or at csrcoffee.com and tell them Illini Inquirer sent you. They have fantastic coffee. I can say so myself. All right, some misses. A lot of fouling, as there usually is in these exhibitions, Kyle. They had 20 fouls, 5 for Wagler, 6 for Ivisic, 4 for Brandon Lee. So a lot of the freshmen fouling, and then Kylan Boswell had 3 as well. And foul shooting wasn't great. Mirkovich wasn't great for him tonight, 5 of 10. That's his biggest question mark, right? I mean, he made 2 threes tonight, 2 of 6 from 3, so he's confident in it. But needs to make more of those free throws, especially with all the putback opportunities, the physicality he plays with. So the fouling and foul shooting, usually pretty typical this time of year for teams like that, but that will have to be cleaned up.
Yeah, for sure, especially those 2 freshmen and Wagler and Lee. I think that's the adjustment that you're going to need to see at this level, is just eliminating some of those silly fouls and just some of those freshman mistakes, as Brad Underwood called it, that are going to happen. But yeah, I think in general, in the second half, I thought in the first half they were really good defensively. In the second half, it got a lot of stops, but there was a lot of fouling. I thought Illinois State was able to get to the free throw line and attack a little bit more in the second half. For Mirkovich, I still think that's going to be a question mark. It was nice to see him make 2 threes, but I do think you look at the shooting mechanics and his free throw shooting. There's a ways to go there, I think. And he's a guy that if he's going to be in there banging, fighting for rebounds, and if you're going to play through him a little bit more, if you play him in some back downs, he's a guy who could get to the free throw line quite a bit, and you want him to cash in on those. That's similar to what we saw with Morez Johnson last year, where he can get fouled quite a bit just the way that he plays, but if you're not going to cash those in, it's going to hurt you. So we'll see how that comes along, but it's hard to find a lot of misses from a game like this, to be honest. I was trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to.
Can I give you one?
Go. Sure.
It's not even Illinois' fault. So I didn't get to see Andrei Stojakovic.
Right.
I want, besides the pregame warm-up, and it was fun to watch. He's going through a pretty intense workout, and I just looks like a guy who's about ready to play with how he's going through it. And the reason I say that is he went up for a dunk. He's got the managers with the big pole, trying to block his shot and all that. But he really went up. Great explosion, one-handed dunk it, and Ty Rodgers is sitting there going, whoo, hey. So he was like, it felt like Ty was saying, oh, he's getting there. He's getting healthy. So I want to see him. I want to see Mihailo Petrovic. Obviously, we know what Tomislav Ivisic is, so it's not a big deal that he wasn't in the game. But you do want to get him up to speed, up to conditioning, because that was an issue for him last year as he was dealing with all those things. So that's a miss, because we don't get to see those guys for another 2 weeks, right? Potentially. We'll see what happens with Petrovic, and I think Tommy should be able to play, after 3-4 weeks after tonsillectomy, but we'll have to see. And, I don't know if Andrei Stojakovic plays at Florida against Florida this weekend, but that seems like a guy who's trending in the right direction. But I just would have liked to have seen him, Kyle. So that's my miss.
Yeah, you'd like to have seen him, but also just for Illinois, you haven't had your whole team on the floor at once barely
Yet.
at all in the
Yet.
preseason. I don't know if you have at all yet, because you had obviously Petrovic arrives, and right around that time you had Stojakovic go out with the injury. Then you've had Tommy go out. Petrovic has battled multiple injuries now. So that hurts you for sure. We're a couple weeks away from the season opener here, and you just haven't had everybody on the court at one time. You haven't been able to fully build that chemistry all together. Now you've had most of your guys out there, and I think you'll build that over time. But I think that's just an overall miss for this team right now. Is there is a little bit more uncertainty than you would have hoped for heading into the season. Now, as we've talked about in the past, you have those veteran guys. You have some of the retention that you can lean on, and it's not a brand new group like last year to where you're trying to fully piece an entire new roster together and fit everything together. You've had guys that have played together. You have Colin Boswell, Benham Rickhouse, Tomislav Ivisic, and you've had most of those guys out there for a lot of time, even going back to the summer when you did have Stojakovic here. So it's not a brand new process for this group, but you would like to have everybody together, and you would like to, especially in a game like this, low stakes exhibition, would have been great to see everyone out there and just to see what an entire group looks like, and to start to find those roles. And maybe Brad could have treated it a little bit more like what his real rotation could look like, and you just don't get those opportunities. So we'll see. I'm not all that concerned about it, but it's certainly a concern heading into 2 weeks from tomorrow being your season opener, and there's uncertainty about Petrovic's status. I agree with you. It looks like Stojakovic will be ready, but how much has he been on the court the last 2 months building that chemistry and finding his way and fitting into this offense, and the conditioning part of it as well? Those are question marks heading into the start of the season that you would have liked to not have.
And I think more on the defensive end, because I don't have a lot of issues with this team. I don't think they're going to have a lot of issues scoring, but defensively, just the chemistry and the trust you have to build up. Like, I think that's going to be a work in progress for a while. Like, I think the offense is going to be pretty good early in the season. Defensively, I think it's going to be a lot more up and down. So now they go to the national champion, not exactly in Gainesville. They're playing in Orlando on Saturday, closed door scrimmage, and Brad Underwood loves these, he said, because you're not restricted by time. You can go as long as you want. You can really practice situations more than anything. Like, they'll get up and down the court. They'll do all those things, but this isn't a game, right? So some things will leak out about who scored this, who won, all that, but it's mostly just about, how do you look in these situations? And Brad said it's less about scouting and it's more about them executing what they do. But man, you talk about front courts. Like, these are two of the best front courts in the country. And then you get to go up against a guard in Boogie Fland, who really didn't do anything against you in Arkansas, but is a very, very talented guard. They got a transfer guard. You can remind me of his name. I wrote it earlier today and forgot it.
Xavier Lee.
Xavier Lee, one of the top transfer guards out of the mid-major level. So this is a returning national champion that has several players that played well. Obviously a new backcourt with all that they lost last year, but what a test. And, I think Brad likes that this is behind closed doors to kind of focus in on the little things that they want to focus on.
Yeah, heck of a test. Just a really great opportunity for these guys, especially like you said with that front court. I mean, there's the opportunity for David Mirkovic to show it against a little bit better competition and to bang around with some much more physical guys, and for Z as well to get that experience and try to build some of that consistency. And yeah, your freshman guards are going to get a heck of a challenge in trying to match up with Boogie Fland and Xavier Lee, and that's a heck of a staff under Todd Golden there, who runs great stuff. Their offense was outstanding throughout the tournament last year. They're going to put you in a bind. They're going to challenge you. Just a really, really good opportunity. We'll see if you do get any of those guys back for that, like a Stojakovic or Tomislav Ivisic. Maybe not. Either way,
if they were cleared, do you play him?
I mean, you could, like you said, there's not a ton of structure there, right? So you could probably work them in here and there a little bit. You don't have to go full bore. I think if they're available, you'll see them on the court doing something, I would imagine. Yeah. Maybe not 5-on-5, but if you're doing, or whatever the case may be, it's just, that's as good of a team as you can find out there in the country to test yourself against, and we'll see what ends up coming out of that. But really good opportunity for this team 1 week out, or just over a week out at that point from the regular season opener. And should be interesting to see what we hear from that.
Kyle, it was fun to watch basketball again. It's fun to see basketball here at State Farm Center. Pretty good crowd for an exhibition game, and I love that Illinois State was a part of this. Again, I wish these teams were a bit more complete here, but that was fun to see. Fun to see these new faces, and it's a really encouraging performance by a lot of those new faces, again, that built some confidence. So I think for Illini fans, it was nice to get a glimpse of these guys, and to be honest with you, it was great for those guys just to get extended run, because I don't know if there's another game this year that Brandon Lee's getting 22 minutes or that Zvonimir Ivisic is getting 23 minutes unless Tommy gets in foul trouble. Mirkovich getting 30, maybe that could happen again, but to get extended run in a place like this, and a lot of these guys were saying Mirkovich said him and Z both, this was like their third day that they've been at State Farm Center. They'd only been here a day or two and actually played. So just to get in front of this arena, in front of this fan base, is pretty cool.
Yeah, that was what Brad said yesterday, that there was those guys' first time stepping on the State Farm Center floor was yesterday for practice. So it's cool. Just a good experience. Just get some of those jitters out and some of those first game nerves in a low stakes environment, but to really learn a little bit about yourself and get those game reps. And yeah, man, I'm excited. It's that time of year. I'm really excited for college hoops to be back, and this one definitely scratched that itch a little bit. Now we got a 2-week wait for the season opener, but I'm getting ready for it for sure.
All right, everybody, Kyle will have a notebook. I'll have some takeaways from this at IlliniInquirer.com. Go check that out. It's 30% off a VIP membership. We've had so much basketball content over the last week as we've had this football off week. I wrote about Cam Crocker. I know Kyle and Joey have had a bunch of features as well, so go check that out at IlliniInquirer.com. But for Kyle Tausk, I'm Jeremy Werner. Everybody have a great day. Take care of each other. We'll talk to you next time right here on the Illini Inquirer podcast.